शुद्ध मनों में, साधकों के चिंतनों में, मेरी आस मेरे श्वास तुझ में ही समाए। साचा रूप साचा रंग मन में दिखाए, प्रकाशित हृदय में ईश्वर।
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Before we start, I'll play a short video on the Vedanta Wisdom Trust, of which Dr. Janki Santoke is the managing trustee.
Life today poses challenges at various levels. Modern day living is threatened by anxiety, depression, failure at work, climate change, and war. But is a life of peace and harmony with fast-paced progress possible or even conceivable? The answer, a resounding yes, lies in the ancient Indian philosophy of Vedanta. This pristine knowledge of life and living, as found in texts like the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads, has answers to all human problems and is a pathway to the ultimate goal of human existence, God or self-realization. The Vedanta Wisdom Trust's mission is to educate humanity on this knowledge. Towards this end, it holds weekly online classes attended by learners from all over the world. The Trust's e-learning platform offers a number of self-paced certificate courses. Offline events include outstation retreats, seminars, public lectures, and workshops. Top professionals can learn and apply Vedantic knowledge in their fields through the Trust's corporate workshop services. The Trust's upcoming project, the Vedanta Wisdom University, will be the world's first university with a curriculum based on Vedanta. Along with education that provides a means of livelihood, it aims to empower its students to become tomorrow's leaders who can think creatively and advance humankind as a whole. Spearheading the Trust and its services is Dr. Janki Santoke, a well-known proponent of Vedanta for over 3 decades now, a sought-after teacher of the subject and an author who writes for The Speaking Tree, The Economic Times, and more. Her first book, How Do You Know What You Know, examines thinking and its effects on life. Her new book, The Happiness Guarantee, The Philosophy of Happiness, delves into the foundational principles, exposing why our pursuit often leads astray. It uncovers the role of desire and helps master the mind for lasting joy. The Vedanta Wisdom Journal is a platform dedicated to spreading the timeless teachings of Vedanta and exploring their relevance in contemporary times.
The journal publishes articles biannually. You can subscribe to receive access to these articles and also contribute your own work to be considered for publication.
Janki Ji's social media presence continues to grow, with the YouTube channel Team Janki Santoke comprising a subscriber base of thousands across continents. To learn more, please visit.
Hello everyone, my name is Ramashish Joshi. So I'm glad that today we have Dr. Janki Santoke with us, and grateful that she has accepted our invite to talk to us today. Her topic today is Finding Purpose in the Modern World, a Vedantic perspective on life's meaning. Though I know Janki ji for past many years and have attended her online sessions and retreats, I'll read out a formal introduction of Dr. Janki Santoke. Dr. Janki Santoke, PhD in philosophy, is a lecturer, author, corporate resource, and a public speaker. She is a senior disciple of Swami A. Parthasarathy. For the past 35 years, she has been full-time in the research and propagation of Vedanta. She has published 2 books. The first one, How Do You Know What You Know? And the recent one is The Happiness Guarantee. Today, she gave me a signed copy of her recent book. Thanks, Janki ji, for that. She has also been conducting online sessions on subjects like Vedanta treatise and Bhagavad Gita. Dr. Santoke is Managing Trustee of the Vedanta Wisdom Trust, a registered public charitable trust. The trust is devoted to the cause of spreading Vedantic education. It is currently involved with setting up the Vedanta Wisdom University, the world's first university dedicated to Vedanta. Thank you all, and I welcome Janki ji. Janki ji, please take over.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. We'll begin with a short prayer. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome everyone to this talk on the purpose of life. It's a very important topic for all of us who gather here. And why don't you all put on your videos so that I can see all the lovers of Vedanta? What a pleasurable sight to see people who love the subject. Great, thank you. I'm glad to see so many known faces. Oh, from all over I can see. Nice. Okay, so we are meeting today to discuss a topic that is of incredible importance for those of us, I mean, all of us, who are interested in spirituality. And we've gone down to the most fundamental, most basic question, the one that probably brought you all to the subject, to spirituality in the first place, which is, what am I doing here? Does my life have any purpose? Is there any meaning in this thing? Or are we like weeds that come and go? Is there any point in this whole thing? And because it's so fundamental to us who have this spiritual urge, many philosophers down the ages have spoken about this. Some say there's no meaning, there's no purpose. It's all pointless. Some say its only purpose is to khao, piyo, maja karo, yavat jivet, sukham jivet, live. As long as you're living, you live happily. Who has seen tomorrow? And who knows whether there is another lifetime or not. Some people say that the purpose of existence is to merge with, I mean, to meet God, to get God pleased with you so that you will have heaven or eternal paradise. Some people have that view. Some people think, what is the purpose of life? Well, you come here, you do some good, and then you go. So what is the Vedantic answer to this question? Okay, so since we're going to do Vedantic answer, let us just do a brief recap on what is Vedanta. Everybody here is familiar with Vedanta? You are all familiar what it is? Yes, no? Yes, no? I mean, those who attend classes, I know y'all are familiar, so you need not answer, but everybody else? Yes, familiar. Okay. All right. So just let's do a quick recap on what is Vedanta. Vedanta comes from the Vedas. You all are all familiar, obviously, that there are 4 Vedas. These 4 Vedas contain 4 parts. The last portion of the Vedas contain what are known as the Upanishads. The Upanishads are the philosophical contents of the Vedas. They contain the let's say the insights or the main portion of the Vedas. Since this comes at the end of the Vedas, it is known as Vedanta, Vedanta. So what is Vedanta? It is the philosophy of the Vedas. And what does Vedanta talk about? It talks about how to live life. So when it's talking about how to live life, it has to talk about the end game, right? Because we have to know where we are reaching if we have to take any decision. You can't sit in your car and decide where to go and whether to turn right or left unless you know where you're going. So unless you know that, how are you supposed to live your life? Where are you going? So let us try and examine today. Where are we going? Now, this is something that we don't know. And we are going to follow the Vedantic way of doing things. Which is what? Which is that we're going to be rational, that we're going to be logical, that we're going to go from something that we do know. There is no point making all these statements, or this and that and that and this. Let's start from something we do know. What do we know today? We know that we're here. This much we know. And now that we are here, what are we doing? What are we currently doing? If we start thinking about what we're currently doing, you will realize that all of us, not only those who have gathered here today who are so interested in spiritual life, but all of us, all human beings, interested in spirituality, not interested in spirituality, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of us are all trying to do only one thing. And what is that? And it's not just us humans. Every living being is trying to do that thing. And what is that one thing everybody is trying to do? People have left India and come to the US for what? People will leave the US and go to India for what? For one thing and one thing alone. And that is to obtain happiness. When you get married, why did you get married? Because that you thought that will make you happy. Then you got divorced. Why did you get divorced? Because you thought that will make you happy. You have taken every step that you have taken in your life, not just you, but universally, every being has taken whatever step they have taken because they believe that that will make them happy. The murderer plunges a knife into somebody because he believes that that will bring him happiness. The great Sidney Carlton gives up his life for somebody. Why? It's the same quest. That's why he says, it's a far better thing I do than I have ever done. It's a far greater rest I go through to than I have ever known. One reason motivates everything we do. And that is the pursuit of happiness. Okay, so once we've established this, that everything we do for happiness, then when we start thinking about what is the purpose of life, it must be, therefore, to gain that happiness. But there's a problem when we say this. It's almost like you can deny this theory by saying that no matter how much happiness anyone gets, they always want a little more. So is the pursuit really of happiness? Or are we pursuing something else? You know, no matter how good things are, you want it a little better. In India, you don't find restrooms everywhere like you find in the US. Forgive me, Ramashish, for making a statement like that. But you don't find them everywhere. Good, clean washrooms as you find here. So, now suppose you do find a washroom. Are you happy? No, because maybe that washroom didn't have paper. Something. So, okay, that must have a washroom and it must have paper, it must have water, obviously, it must be clean, obviously. And all these things are there. There's water, there's paper, there's a washroom, it's all clean. You turn on the tap and it has cold water. You say, oh my God, they don't give hot water here. And let's say you have the washroom, it is clean, there's paper, there's water, there's hot water. Then what do you say? Oh, this seat is not warm, you know. In other countries, they have a warm seat also. Is there any point at which we will say, okay, enough? When is enough enough? Have you ever realized that there is nobody in this world who says, I don't want any more happiness? No matter what you have. If you ask Bill Gates, I don't know the gentleman, but I feel that if you ask him, would you like some more money? What do you think he will say? He'll say, of course, you know, there are so many starving people in Africa and I would like to do something for them. Some more money would be good. If you ask the world's most beautiful woman, do you want more beauty? You think she'll say, no, thank you, I have enough. So we have determined that everything we do for happiness. But we found a problem here, that nobody seems to have enough of it. So is it that we wanted happiness? If you think about it, you'll realize that yes, we did want happiness. But the happiness we wanted was of a certain kind. We wanted infinite happiness. Infinite in quality, infinite in quantity. And since we wanted infinite happiness in quality and quantity, nothing we get is good enough because we haven't gained the infinite. So we can probably conclude then that the purpose of human existence is to gain infinite happiness. And there is a name for it. There is a word for it in Vedanta. It is called self-realization. It is called enlightenment. It is called moksha. This state of enlightenment or self-realization or moksha, whatever you want to call it, everyone has their own name for it. This is the state of infinite happiness that each one of us is looking for, whether we know it or not. Whether it is us with the common interest of spirituality, or it is those who deny our interest, who say, oh, what nonsense is all this spirituality? Whichever one it is, the only pursuit is the pursuit of infinite happiness. Now, suppose we accept all this. Then we are left with trying to figure out, so what is this happiness? When you say happiness, what does this thing mean? Well, how do you define it? Because you see, as philosophers, we can't just accept any answer. We will have to question that answer. And of course, you will have time in the end to question also, because, you know, every philosopher, no matter what you say, has a question. And we encourage that. Every Vedanta book, as you know, is only question and answer. In fact, traditionally, the teachers would not speak. You know that? You had to go and ask a question. When you ask a question, the teacher will answer your question. There are no lectures in Vedanta. See, Bhagavad Gita, question and answer. Upanishads, question and answer. So as you question this, and which we should, because we are human beings, we should question. Why should we accept what anyone has to say? But we have to think this thing through. Okay, so let us say that we have to get infinite happiness. But then what is this? What is this happiness? What is infinite happiness? Forget infinite, what is happiness itself? What is happiness? Happiness is defined as cessation of agitations. Happiness is defined as cessation of agitations. Because you can't have an agitated happy man. You can have a tall happy man, a short happy man, a black happy man, a white happy man, a pink happy man. You can have all of these variations, but you can never have an agitated happy man. You can have a poor happy man, a rich happy man, an intelligent happy man, a dumb happy man. You can have every variation, but you can never have an agitated happy man. You can't say, I'm an angry happy person. You can't say that. Either you're angry or you're happy. You can't be both. You can't say I'm a jealous happy person. Can't be both. So you can't have an agitated happy person. So therefore, what is happiness? It is the cessation of agitations. So then where do these agitations come from? Why do we get agitated at all in the first place? All agitations come from desires. No desire, no agitation. How do you know? Just think about it. Do toys ever agitate you? You have no agitation from the Barbie dolls and the dinky toys and the dinky cars. You have no agitation from any of this, ever. Why? No desire. And who has agitations caused by Barbie dolls and dinky cars? Excuse me. These agitations can only be experienced by children. So as long as you have a desire for anything, you can have an agitation. If you do not have a desire for it, you can have no agitation generated from it. Now, where is our maximum agitation? From our families. Why? Maximum desire for families. All our agitation is called as family. Where do I have desires? Wealth. So wealth causes us agitation. What do I have desire for? Work and growth and progress. So that causes me agitation. So where are all agitations coming from? They come from desires. You all are all with me so far? Give me a thumbs up or something so that I know you all are awake, listening. Because philosophy can make you go to sleep also. So I have to be careful. We all are not, if you were not muted after some time, I may hear some snoring also. So let's make sure you're all awake. Right? So we are good so far. What is happiness? It is cessation of agitations. Where do these agitations come from? They come from desire. So what is happiness then? Happiness must be absence of desire. Zero desires is infinite happiness. But we have a problem here. Problem with Vedanta now. You always have a problem. Logically, it's very clear. I hope it is logically clear, right? Zero desire, zero agitation, infinite happiness. Logically clear. But now is a problem. We have desires. This is a fact of our life. What are we going to do with these desires? Can we pick up our desires and throw them in the bin? You may want to pick up your desires and throw them in the bin. But wherever you go, they follow you. You know that Vodafone ad? Remember that little dog and that boy, wherever the boy went, the dog went. That is a perfect example for desires. Wherever you go, desires go. You say, I don't want to live in the US. It's too much tension over here. I'm going to leave everything and I'm going to go back to India. Excuse me. Then what happens? You come back to India. 2 days, you're very happy. Then what happens? Desire comes. Like a tail, it is following you wherever you go. Whatever agitations were in the US, you find it's there in India as well. Maybe more, maybe less, depending on what desires come up. You can try to leave desires. Desires are not leaving you. So then it seems that this whole philosophy is pointless, right? Isn't that a wonderful thing? Useless philosophy. It told you the purpose of life is infinite happiness. Why do you not have infinite happiness? Because you have desires. And you know, and I know, and we all know that these desires are there. We can't do anything about it. So, ab kya? One more headache. We thought we'll come to Vedanta and our headaches will be solved. No, we got one more headache. Now, how do you get rid of desires? As long as there's desire, there will be agitations, there will not be happiness. But these silly desires are not leaving me. What am I supposed to do? Vedanta gives us a law. You know, our Vedanta only talks of laws. Know what you should do. What should I do? I don't know. Should I leave this? I don't know. Should I get that? I don't know. But here is a law for you. The law is quality and quantity are inversely proportional. Make a note of that law. It will work in many things in life. Quality and quantity are inversely proportional. So what do we learn from that? We learn that the lower the quality of our desires, the greater will be the quantity. The higher the quality of desires, the lower the quantity. The worse the quality of desires, means base desires. The quantity will be very high. And as the desires subtleize, as the desires get better and better in quality, the number comes down. When I want to work for the benefit of only myself, think of the millions and billions of desires that I can inculcate for every little thing. Isn't it? The pleasure of my body is my happiness. And therefore, I can have a billion of them. Every nail will need a different color. I will need holes all over my body to decorate. Can you imagine how much you can, how many desires you can generate? Every strand of my hair can be a different color. I can have a room full of, these walk-in wardrobes. The whole room is full of clothes. I can have all that, right? I can have any amount of. Somebody showed me a picture once. Somebody had a pot, a commode, a bathroom commode made of gold. Anything is possible. At the physical level, how much you can multiply your desires? Is there any end to the number of clothes you can have? Imelda Marcos, I'm told, I don't know the lady personally, I'm told she had 3,000 pairs of shoes. That means she'll wear each shoe after how long? And how does she keep inventory of all those shoes? I don't know all this. She probably has to hire somebody to keep an inventory of all these shoes, right? Can you imagine how much you can make it grow any amount? But the moment you have your first child, zoop, it all comes down. How much can you do now if you have to take care of your child? So as you grow from the physical level to the emotional level, as the quality of desires improves, the quantity comes down. When I think of only myself and my family, I have a certain amount of desires. But when I start thinking of my country, this comes down. Now, do you think Mahatma Gandhi has more desires or we have more desires? Why does he have fewer desires? Because his desire is of a better quality, a nobler quality. In simple language, we say simple living, high thinking. Remember, we've been hearing it all our lives. So the moment these desires subtleize, the moment they get better, greater, nobler, the number comes down. So what is a better desire? What is a subtler desire? How do you define something as a better desire? What makes it better? It is better because it encompasses a wider arena. Physical desires are only for myself. Emotional desires are me and my family. So the circle has widened. Intellectual desires, like I'm working for my country, I'm working for humanity, I'm working for art, or I'm working for a sport. I've gone beyond just me and my family. And every time I take a step forward in that direction, my desires come down. So, what is the way of getting rid of desires? You cannot get rid of desires, but you can take up higher desires. And when you take up higher desires, the lower ones automatically wane away. And that is why you will always see that nobler people, better people are always, can you complete this? Are always what people? Nobler people are always blank
Happier.
people, happier, calmer. Do you see Mother Teresa all agitated? Or anybody who's worked for a higher cause, you look at their face and you will know that here is a calmer person. You can see it. That is why in the prayer which we do, we all pray for that. Tejasvi Navadhi. Let me become Tejasvi. Tejasvi means, what should I say? How do you translate Tejasvi? That means the brightness, the spark. Let me have that. I have come to this class today not for some intellectual gathering of information, but that Tejas in me should rise. That brilliance should rise within me. That brilliance that manifests in actions as unselfish actions. It manifests in me in emotions as pure emotions and calmness of mind. And that Tejas manifests in me at the intellect with clarity of thought. And when this happens, as I see this happening in myself or in others, I know that the level of desires comes down. I mean, the result of the desires coming down is that this happens. Because many people think, okay, if all the desires go, then how will I ever do anything? Because all action comes from desire. If all action comes from desire and my desires are lower, therefore I will act less. And that is a useless thing. Where we all going to become, what should I say? Are we all going to become lazy people? Think about it. Was Mahatma Gandhi more lazy than us? Was Mother Teresa more lazy than us? Who is more lazy according to you? And if you look at it, those with a higher cause can work without break. Have you realized that? Have you heard of Mother Teresa taking a vacation in Switzerland? Oh, I'm very tired. I think I need a break. Have you heard of any such thing? Or Mahatma Gandhi saying, oh God, these Indians are driving me nuts. I'm going to go to US for a little break. Have you heard of such a thing? Do they say, oh, Sundays, I need a break? So you notice that the higher the ideal, the more the work. Tireless work, effortless work, work that gives amazing results. Work does not decrease when your desires decrease. The nonsense around the work decreases. When we believe we are working, what are we really doing? We are worrying, we are getting pressurized, we are saying, what am I getting? Lots of impurities surrounding our work. But as our desires rise, the work becomes effortless. It becomes stress-free. It becomes amazingly productive. Because no energy is wasted on other things. Why are we not productive? Because our energy is wasted on unproductive things. What will happen? Will I get this? Will somebody come? Will somebody go? Will I get a promotion? All waste of time. Even that much time we used working, we probably go further in life. So Satwic work or pure work or noble work is described in the Gita as effortless. Actually, I want to share a picture with you, which I cannot, but Mahesh, one day, please put it on our class group. If you all are not on our class groups and you want to be, please join. This picture you must put. It was amazing. Where was I yesterday? I was somewhere. Palm Springs. At Palm Springs, I saw a wonderful sight. This man was lying on some of that park structure. He was lying down. I thought he's lying down. His hands were like this. He was simply lying down until I realized that below his head, there was nothing. He was lying down like that in a straight line, nothing below his head. His body, of course, was supported by that structure. He looked utterly relaxed. Can you imagine for him to do that, what must be the quality of his stomach muscles? How much work he must have been doing while he was appearing so totally relaxed to anyone else. Amazing. That is called sattva. So much work, but if you look at it, it appears as if the person is doing nothing. He's relaxing. If you see Einstein, suppose you were Einstein's roommate when he was coming up with the theory of relativity. What would you have seen? You'd have seen a man maybe lying down in his bed, looking at the ceiling, maybe. I don't know what he was doing when he would appear to be resting when he was doing the maximum work. What Ramatirtha says, intense work is rest. You're working so hard that you appear to be doing nothing. That is the work of people with fewer desires. So as your desires reduce and reduce and reduce, you become so much more efficient. You manage to get so much more work done. You are of so much service to the world. Reduce desires, give infinite happiness and amazing productivity. Reduce desires, keep our relationships smooth. Why do we have a problem with people? Why are we not getting along with everybody? Just think about it. It is for one reason and one reason alone. They are not doing what I want them to do. Do I have any other fight with anybody? I want you to do something. You are not doing it. I think I am right and justified in wanting you to do this. My desires interrupted is my agitation. That's it. Isn't Vedanta simple? Such a simple subject. Such a clean subject. Just straight, clear, no complications involved. Any other subject, it will work so hard. Vedanta is so simple. What is the purpose of life? Let us see our life. What is our life? We seem to be pursuing happiness. Okay, that's correct, correct? But we don't seem to find this happiness because no matter what we get, we want something else. No matter what happens. So is it happiness that we are pursuing? No, it's not happiness we are pursuing. What we are pursuing is, what happened? Sab so gaye. Nobody heard anything. What we are pursuing is, please don't do that. Then
Desire.
Desire.
Completion of desire.
Infinite
Fulfilling desire.
happiness.
Infinite.
Infinite happiness.
Infinite
Desire.
happiness. We are pursuing infinite happiness. Now, why are we not getting this infinite happiness? What's the problem? We find out by defining what is this happiness. Happiness is defined as happiness is defined as
No
look, I'm a
agitation.
Cessation
teacher.
of
I expect
agitation.
people to listen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cessation of agitation.
Cessation of
Cessation of agitations. Very good. Now, where do agitations come from?
Desire.
desires.
Desires. Very good. As long as there is desire, there will be agitation. Get used to this fact. It's a fact of life. Now, we can't throw our desires in the bin. But what can we do?
Higher realm.
Upgrade them, make them subtler.
Yes, take up higher desires.
Think higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Increase the quality of desires. Correct, Jesse. Increase the quality of desires. When you increase the quality of desires, the quality of happiness will automatically increase. You need not chase happiness. Happiness will chase you. But people can argue and say, no. If we don't have desires, we won't be able to work. Is that correct?
No.
No, because the fewer the desires, the more productive and effortless will the action be. How do you know? Look at the people who have done amazing work. You know that man who dug a hole through the mountain to create a road to the city. I mean, imagine dug a hole through a mountain. When the government does it and when the enterprises do it, they are these massive, whatever, I don't even know what that equipment is called, some massive machinery making the hole, and then they take so long. This guy with his bare hands cut across. How hard must he have been working? But no agitation and productive work. Because he's motivated by something nobler, greater, bigger than himself. So, will your work reduce? No. Then will my relationships all get spoiled because I have no desires? Yes? What?
No.
Well, it desires no relationships. Your relationships get better because the problem in the relationship is all the demands I'm making on others. I say, you should be like this, and you should be like this, and why are you not like this, and why are you not like that? And that is the issue in the relationship. There's no other issue in a relationship. If you have no demand on a person, you will have no issue with that person. Simple, no? What can be simpler in life? So, what is the purpose of life? It is to find infinite happiness. How do you find it? By bringing desires to zero. How do you bring desires to zero? By taking up higher and higher desires. Don't get stuck anywhere. Suppose you are working for yourself now, then you work for your family. If you're working for your family, then work for the community. If you can work for the community, then work for the country. If you are working for the country, then raise it to humanity. If you raise it to humanity, then why not all living creatures? And as you keep raising yourself, the lower desires keep dropping until you're finally left with the last desire, the desire for self-realization. When you're left with that last desire, you take up what is known as meditation. And with meditation, is a tool to remove that last desire. People start meditating anytime, but we don't need meditating right now. We need it at the last point to get rid of the last thought. So with this whole process, which is known as the spiritual sadhana, in layman's terms, you eventually eradicate all desires, including the desire for self-realization. And what you are left with then is infinite happiness. So that's it from me. If you have any questions, you're welcome to ask them. Ramashish will tell you what is the methodology.
It was wonderful, Janki ji. So whoever has question, either raise hand or type in and I'll read out, or unmute yourself and then ask questions, whichever is easier for you guys. As a start, I will ask one question, Janki ji. You made it very simple, but I always find it agitation comes naturally. And it may be a little after the event has happened, we realize that, yeah, I was agitated. I know I may be, my desire may be that give me some capsule. Or where to start?
We have to start by understanding where we are and taking up the next level. See, when we have nobler desires, we recognize we have good desires. Most people here will have good desires. If you have negative desires, you probably don't want to attend a class on Vedanta. So you probably have good desires. And now that you have good desires, you recognize you are better than most other people who do not have those desires, or do silly things. What happened? You're making Ajay Kasotya, you're making some gesture. I don't know what you're trying to say.
We couldn't hear you, madam.
Oh, couldn't hear? Oops.
Yes.
Sound is clear, actually. There's no, I think there may be a local problem. The sound is fine.
Yeah, sound is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, now it's okay. Now it's okay, sir.
Okay. So, how do you do it? You first recognize where you are. When you look around, you may pat yourself. I suppose everybody here can pat themselves on their back and say that, well, we have better desires than most of the others. We may be more disciplined. We may care more for social issues. We may be doing so many more things. So we recognize where we are, happy to be where we are, but we have to know the next step forward. Otherwise, we're stagnating in our goodness, and our goodness will agitate us because we're stagnating there. So you have to know what is the next step and then pitch to that step. Just saying I'm good is not good enough. We have to keep getting better and better and better until realization. So what do we do? What is the capsule? Pitch a higher goal from where you are, not from another person. From me, what will be difficult for me to do? Let me do that one.
Okay. I have two online questions. Let me read out. Since we are living with a family, spouse and kids, how do we continue with our goal of higher desire and seva when our loved ones whom we have duties towards are agitated and have expectations from us?
If you want to do seva and somebody wants you to do seva, then where's the problem? They have expectations from you. They want you to do something. You want to do seva, then do the seva. What is the difficulty? The more people around us are selfish, the better for us who are givers, right? Because we can give more. The problem is never when there is one giver, one taker. The problem is when there are two takers. Then everybody wants to take. But if we want to give and somebody wants to take, oh, cool, that's very good. Only thing is that we must understand carefully what is giving. If a child asks you for money to buy drugs, that's not giving, right? That is in fact taking, because you're ruining his life. So when you serve people with the intention of their benefit, then that is service. And sometimes when you do that service, you have to say no, because it is in their welfare that you don't do certain things. So as long as the attitude is one of serving them, means I will do what is in your welfare. You will do what is required and not do what is not required. For instance, mothers always want to clean. They run after their children and say, you must keep your room clean, you must keep your room clean, and the kid doesn't do it, and then they go and clean the room for them. And they say, I'm doing this for you. No, you're not doing it for me. You're doing it for yourself. Please recognize that. Because if you were doing it for me, you would not do it. A mother's role is not to keep the child's room clean, but to encourage the child to keep his or her room clean. You keep on cleaning the room for the child, making it worse for the person. Because you will do it now. What's going to happen a few years later? Is their spouse going to keep it clean? There's going to be a fight there. Straight away, you're encouraging a fight. So when we are doing seva, we must ensure we are doing seva. We are not agreeing with what anyone says you must do. So this discrimination comes when we have an intellect. Intellect comes when we study Vedanta. So once we are clear on what is seva, excuse me, and what is not seva, then we will do the seva and not do the rest of the stuff.
Well, just a follow-up question from me. Are you saying that we should also treat whatever we do, even for the family members, as seva, with that seva bhav?
Of course. I mean, if you're doing seva, why will you not do it for your family as well? Like, how is that even possible? That I want to serve the whole world, but somehow my family is not in the world. How does this work? The higher
Because that's
the
my home
desire
ground,
is,
and
the higher the desire, it's like a light. The higher you take the light up, the wider will be its reach. Right? It'll encompass more. It is not taking something out. When you work for your family, you are included. When you work for your community, family is included. When you work for the nation, community is included. Because your community is part of the nation, or your family is part of the community. You're not, there's no dichotomy. And if you say, no, I'm serving the community, I have no time to take care of my family, then I would recommend you revisit what you think is serving the community. Children are going down the drain, and you're saying, I'm looking after those orphans. So you've made your own children orphans. What does that mean?
thanks. I have one more question. It's from internet.
Mhm.
I'll read out.
Mhm.
If there is a desire for moksha
Hmm.
and you have not achieved it, will you not feel agitated and frustrated if you're not able to fulfill the desire?
Yes.
How can we deal with this frustration so we do not lose our pursuit of moksha?
It is a law. As long as there's a desire, there's going to be an agitation. But if your desire for moksha is one of the many desires you have, it'll be a lot more agitating than when it is the only desire you have. When it's the only desire you have, you'll be having the least number of agitations because you have only one desire. But it is just one of the thousands and millions of things we want, then naturally, it's not really an unselfish or a selfless thing yet. It is still, I want moksha. The I is stronger than the moksha, in which case it will cause agitation. I want moksha still about me.
May I ask one follow-up question on that?
Yes.
How do you define moksha? Does moksha mean going or giving up the body, or what is moksha?
Zero desires.
For a simple person like you, zero desires.
Zero desires.
Moksha. Or the
That
higher
is what
desires, or the quality
Yeah.
of desires, as you mentioned, is a moksha. As you
No.
increase the quality,
That is not moksha. That is the path to moksha.
That's a
Moksha
path.
is equal to zero desires. When you have reached zero desires, you have moksha. Moksha means liberation. Liberation from what? Liberation from sorrow. So you have complete liberation from sorrow when you come to the point of zero desires. Nobody and nothing in this world can ever agitate you as if your desires are zero. Just like if you can never agitate a Buddha or a Rama or a Krishna, you don't have that capacity because their desires are zero.
okay.
Um,
Thank you, Janki ji.
Okay.
I think
Archana has
that's
something.
about,
yeah,
And
can
Archana,
you,
yeah.
yes, I actually missed the path you mentioned to desire, the quality and the quantity. If you can explain, I understood they're inversely proportional, but if you mind repeating.
okay, so quality and quantity of desires are inversely proportional. That means the better the quality, the fewer the number. The worse the quality, the more the number. So the more selfish desires are plentiful. But as
Got
they
it.
become noble, they reduce. It's like a pyramid.
Makes sense. Thank you so much.
There is one more question. Let me
Is
read out.
ego, yes, I see it. Deepak JT,
Yeah.
okay. Carry on. Is ego also a desire? Ego is the springboard of desires. Okay, so ego is that in us which arrogates things to myself. I have emotions. I say these are my emotions. That is ego. Or I have thinking, or I have knowledge, and I say this knowledge is my knowledge. And that's called ego. When you arrogate something to yourself, these are my desires. That's ego. I want to realize the self. That's ego. So when you start arrogating it to yourself, that thought in you is known as desire, as ego. So ego is the springboard of desires.
There is one more question. I'll read out. Is the desire for moksha not usually seen as being selfish?
Yes, it is usually seen as selfish because people don't understand what it is. The people think of it as I want moksha. So I am doing what I want and not what you want, and therefore that's selfish. But you have to define what is selfish. When I do something for my body or mind or intellect, it is defined as a selfish action because it was done for my body or mind or intellect. Moksha is when you're disconnecting from your body, mind, intellect. You're not doing anything for your body, mind, intellect. Moksha is what you're doing for the self or God, self as an Atman. Marie Amelie, you're familiar with this, right? You've been studying Vedanta. Yeah. So, what you're doing for the self beyond the body, mind, intellect. So it cannot come under selfish. But people don't get it. They get it. They say, I want to be Wimbledon champion and I want moksha, sounds the same to them. Because, it's a subject. It needs systematic study. When you don't have systematic study, you don't have definitions. When you don't have definitions, we jump to conclusions. So yes, it is seen like that, but that's not what it is.
There's one more question. To be egoless, is it to be desireless?
That's correct. Egolessness is equal to desirelessness. Because if you have no desire, what are you going to attribute to yourself? Or if you have no ego, no arrogating individual, what desire can you have? You're not there. What desire can you have? So they're both the same.
I have two questions. One is this a recurring class? Or is
this
there
what
another
class?
Is the Vedanta class recurring? This meeting is recurring meeting every week, or this?
Not this particular one, but we have 3 classes a week. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, India time. Where are you, Archana?
Based out of New Jersey, US.
New Jersey. Okay. So, what is it in EST? Okay, I'm getting totally confused with all these time zones. So, India time, 7 o'clock in the evening on Fridays, which we haven't still started because we just finished a book called How Do You Know What You Know? And now we'll start a new book called Happiness Guarantee. I'm currently in the US, so once I go back, then we will start the book. Maybe in June or something, we'll start the book called Happiness Guarantee. And that's Friday at 7 p.m. for 1 hour. And Saturday class is a morning class, 10:30 to 11:30, Vedanta Treatise by Swami Parthasarathi. And Sunday class is Bhagavad Gita class. So
and who do I contact to join this? Okay, I see that information listed.
Bharat, are you here? Mahesh?
Yeah, I think he has given WhatsApp number. So I'll just read out that WhatsApp number.
Okay.
It's plus 917.
You can see it, It'll be easier for them to copy paste,
Yeah.
And my second question was, we mentioned like the root cause is desire, but I wanted to know, new to Vedanta here, so I wanted to know how is desire born? Like, how is it born, first of all? Like, I know how to make it less by taking up a nobler or higher cause, but how does it get in first place created?
Desire is defined as a thought flow towards an object or being because of an emptiness or lacuna felt within. So how is a desire born? Out of a feeling of emptiness, lacuna, void. When you have the feeling of void, a desire starts. Like you feel void in your stomach, a desire will start for food. So because we have what is known as avidya, or ignorance, or vasanas, whatever name you are used to, because of us not knowing that I am the self. I do not know this. I am already full and whole and complete, but I do not know this. Since I don't know it, I feel like there's a void in me in some way. There's some emptiness in me. And now I want to fill that. So my thoughts go to the world to fill this void. So where does it start from? It starts from ignorance of the self. That's the technical answer. But what is it to me is I feel like I'm not full in some way.
Makes sense. Thank you so much.
Can I come in?
Thank you, everyone.
Can I come in?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah, I've got 2 points. One is that don't you think that every life form has inbuilt desire of ahara, nidra, bhaya, maithun? Because these are the 4 things which drives any life form, from amoeba to whale or elephant, whatever life form. So desire itself is of life, means desire. It comes that way. One. So don't you think that when it is inbuilt, one can pursue the desire, one can exhaust the desire, and then transcend it? Instead of denying the desire, better to exhaust it to the best possible way and then transcend.
You mean
And
as a
second point-
methodology? Okay.
Yeah. And second point, that there is a method. I mean, we can always adopt in our day-to-day.
Sorry to interrupt you. Can we just take the first question first and then second?
Sure.
Okay, so is it better to, you're giving you are asking the question, I'm repeating the question. You're saying that isn't it better to exhaust the desire than to deny it? That's your question, right?
Yeah. And
Okay.
transcend. Exhaust and transcend.
Okay, fine. So is it better to exhaust and transcend? Now, better or not is a matter of opinion, but the laws of life are the laws of life. When you contact an object or being with desire, it has been noticed that it leads to further desires. To be able to contact an object or being without creating desires is a difficult process, and it is based on education. You have to know how to do this. If you merely go around the world contacting objects in the hope of your desire going away, then everybody in the US, or at least everybody is doing well in the US, should have should have exhausted their desires by now, because they've contacted it, they've enjoyed it, but exhaustion hasn't happened. Because the nature of desire or nature of the mind is like a fire. The more fuel you put into it, the more it will grow. No piece of fire is going to say, thanks, I've had enough. It consume what you give and it will be ready for me. Now, that doesn't mean when we say this, people think, oh, then should we deny our desires? No, denial of desires will create other problems. You become a frustrated, miserable being. You can't deny it. You cannot go crazy exhausting it. You have only one option. So you have to educate yourself on that and contact these desires properly. Otherwise, they will just become more and more and more.
So that leads me to the second question, whether it is not advisable to observe all the desires or whatever is happening as a equanimity, Chitta Prajna, that you are a witness, not the doer. So even though you have to exhaust the desire, you are doing it as a witness and not as a doer. So will it not, liberate you from this?
Yes, if you can do it, but you will find that you will not be, many people find that they're not able to. It's all very well to sit in a classroom and say, be equanimous. When your wife comes behind you with a balan, then sit down and be equanimous, see what happens. So it's not, it's all nice things to say, but can we execute these things? So there is a way that is prescribed, which has been done by generations of Indians, and it's nice to go by that. To say, just watch it as a Chitta Prajna, great advice, but if you can execute it, fantastic. If you can't, then what?
Just be a witness, that's all.
But you must be able to execute it, no?
So whatever happens to
you,
whatever happens to you, it's to your body and not to your soul.
Yeah, do all that. If you can do it, great, wonderful. But most people would not find this something that is executable. It's nice to hear. In fact, we're all great philosophers as long as the problem is somebody else's.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me confirm if there are any more questions.
Well, you can always come to class again. Come join us to class, ask all your questions, read the books. You have hundreds of opportunities to educate yourself on the subject, if you'd like to.
Sure. Ajay, Bharat has already given the number, and the people can always WhatsApp to that number so that they can get more information about the classes. Okay, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Though for those who are in West, good night. Those who are in India, thank you all for joining. Thank you, Janki.
Thank you, Janki ji. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Thank you.